Hello everybody and welcome to Cracking Time, the movie zone. We've got Back to the Future Part 1. Yes, that was the movie that ended up winning the poll. Back to the Future Part 1. So that's what we're going to do. So anybody that's joining me, I have put the link in the chat instead of sending emails because I'm a bit behind. So if you are joining me tonight, if you're on the panel, you know who you are. The email is, the link is in the chat. If you're joining, just give us a sec because I get me coffee done. So I'll have the movie on the go stuff as well. So. Yeah. So as I said, if you're joining me and you're in the chat, you're wondering where your email is, I've put the link in the chat instead. It's there. There should be a link there. There, I'll put it in again. It's in there. There you go. It's in the chat. And we're starting straight away as soon as we get the guests on because we're late. So we'll do the chit-chatting while we're watching the movie. No big intros either. Just going to bring people straight on and straight onto the movie. Because it's over an hour and 45 minutes anyway. So we got one of our, I think it'll only be himself tonight anyway. So what we'll do is, excuse me. What we'll do is I'll ask everybody who is watching with us in the chat now if you could do me a favor and let us know that you have it ready to go. Because as soon as I bring me guest on, we're starting straight away. As soon as I bring them on, introduce them, we're pressing play straight away. No countdown. It's just as soon as I bring John on, we start. Okay, so if you're ready in the chat, let me know. Because as soon as I bring John on, I'm just pressing play. So John, get your play button. Get your play button ready, mate. As soon as I bring you on, straight on. So there's 7 people watching right now. So if you are taking part, please let me know again by pressing 1. Right, so John has it ready to go and all. So I'm just waiting because normally we get one person, maybe Chris. If you're ready, if you have it ready, if you're watching it with us, Chris, and anybody else, please press 1 in the chat now. Because it's very difficult to give a timestamp on this where I'm watching it. So that's why I'm insisting that people press 1, because we're not going back. Once we start. That's it. Right, Alice just popped in to say hi and enjoy, says Lindsay. Thank you, Lindsay. We appreciate it. Thank you very much. Right, we're going to start anyway. So, if you can get your fingers on the buzzers, folks. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Please press play now. Grand. Now, where's my earphones? Because this is not gonna. If the sound comes through now, we'll be in trouble. We'll get an all copyright claim. You don't want one of them. Because I got one for the last movie stream. It always happens, man. And we watch alongs. So I might have to seriously consider, at some stage, if it keeps happening, I might have to put them on hold for a while until we figure out a way we could do it. Because someone's sound's coming through all the time. and it's interfering with. I'm getting a copyright claim and left, right, and centre every time, whether it's a classic or a new Who. That's why I insist that you keep the sound down. And that's why I use earphones myself. You know, in fairness, if you're watching it, you shouldn't really have the telly down low. You should be wearing headphones like the rest of us. It's the best way to do it anyway. Look, we have to be strict now because YouTube is being strict. Right, let's bring on our guest who's going to be watching Back to the Future, my old co-host for tonight. It's the one and only real super doctor, and we're exactly. Hold on, I'll tell you exactly what we're in now. I might be able to help you out there, Chris. We're 1 minute and 55 seconds in, according to me. So there.
I'm at 152.
So there, just the plutonium. The news report about the plutonium is that coming up on the screen. So yeah, welcome, John.
Yeah, no bother. I think this film's well plotted.
Yeah, it's a good movie, man.
The kind of plutonium thing in that, and you find out exactly that it's used for the time machine. But
yeah, it's a good movie, man. It's a good movie.
It's one of my favourites.
Of course, Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis and others that were behind this project were recently asked about a part 4 or the show to be or the films to be remade, and they actually came out and said under no circumstances will those movies ever be remade. Also, for any Jaws fans out there, you'll be interested to know that the studio came to Steven Spielberg and asked him if they could do Jaws, right? Even though they don't really have to ask Steven Spielberg, they can do it without him. But because he had made the movie and because they actually respect him, he turned it down. Steven Spielberg says no, that Jaws shouldn't be remade, so it's not being remade. But they were trying to remake Jaws.
Yeah.
So Steven Spielberg and a couple of them are protective of their work, which is good to see. They are protective of their work. They're not saying, "Oh yeah, go on, put your own modern take on it now." No, they protect what they've built, and rightly so. We can't say the same about Indiana Jones. In fairness, though, we don't know anything about the new movie yet, so I'm not going to make any harsh judgments. But I mean, Harrison Ford injuring himself on set again is not a good sign. You know, the lad is 70 odd years old. You can't expect him to be Indiana Jones that was in his 40s. You know, I just don't get how this storyline's going to work. Well, yeah, this was 1985, folks. 1985, so it was the heart of the 80s, bang in the centre. And, you know, a lot of good things were happening in 85. And not so good things, but mostly all positive. We had great childhoods. You all suck. You all have crap childhoods now. Everything is all identity politics and all of this. We didn't give a shit about that. When we were watching films and shows, especially anyway, if they made Back to the Future now, anyway, they gender swapped the main role. It'd be Martina.
Yeah. You see, I had a funny feeling that they could do that. They could do that.
Right, and then Doc Brown will become Doris Brown.
Yeah.
And they'll race swap him as well. Just to double down on the old box ticking. We know how to do things.
I think there was another lead for this before Michael J. Fox. But Michael J. Fox was the one that got the role anyway.
Actually, this is what happened. So, Eric Stoltz, the guy that was in The Fly, he was also in a movie called The Mask.
Yeah.
Had been offered the role, but originally they always wanted Michael J. Fox. I have to make that clear.
Yeah.
But they couldn't get him because he was on Family Ties at the time. So they
Yeah.
went with Eric Stoltz. But 6 weeks into filming, they nearly had the whole movie done, by the way. 6
Yeah.
weeks into filming, they realized that they had a meeting and they realized, the directors and the producers, that Eric wasn't quite what they wanted. And apparently, the story itself, because he was such an eccentric actor and got into the part, it became a kind of a darker version.
Yeah.
So yeah, 6 weeks now. He still does feature in this movie. There are scenes where his hands, they use his hands actually,
Yeah.
Eric's hands in this movie. But that's the only. But he won't talk about it. He's still bitter to this day. I don't blame him. I mean, imagine being 6 weeks into a movie and then being told, "Well, listen, mate, your 6 weeks' work, while we pat you on the back, but you're just not good enough."
There's a wee interesting fact about this film is, see the set for Hilldale, it was actually the set for Gremlins. They reused it for Back to the Future, for the, for the clock tower and all that, and
Yeah. Anyway, I know everything there is about this movie because
yeah,
it's, for me, it's, there's no perfect trilogy out there, in my opinion, but this comes close. This comes close. Back to the Future trilogy comes close. It's there.
I
It
mean
does have
they couldn't make
problems.
it perfect
The
anymore,
second
but
one, the second one has its problems, and even the
yeah,
lads would admit that themselves. They've said it over the years that if they actually were to remake something, they would have loved to do part two again.
yeah,
At the time they'd remake it because there was things in it that they wanted in it that they didn't, that they ended up by being on the floor and stuff, as they always do when they're coming up with a script. But it's a fantastic movie, and we find out later on that Marty himself, his behavior can lead to him
yeah,
not having that career. It's funny because I thought he was good here. I look at the student at the end; he's just looking. Oh, I don't like him. I want me Britney
yeah.
Spears. Oh no, she wasn't out at the time. Probably Madonna. I want me Madonna. I don't want this rock and roll shit. I want Madonna, like a virgin. Woo.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, Marky. You are good at playing the guitar. Don't mind him. Don't mind him, Marky.
See, even his girlfriend is completely confused by it. I mean,
Yeah, but she supports him. That's the thing.
yeah.
We like Jennifer.
Yeah.
Oh, Lorraine, I should say. Sorry. No, Jennifer.
Jennifer. Yeah.
Jennifer. Lorraine's his ma. I keep getting confused by the two because, there is a part in this movie where his mother does try it on with him, but in fairness, she doesn't really know it's his mother, but still.
It's a bit funny, that scene, but we'll talk about that when we come to it.
Do us a favour, folks. I haven't been able to share this stream as much as I'd like. If you could do me a favour and share it. I have been dealing with other stuff today, which I will be talking about in a video because I think it's very important. But I'd just like to let you know, for any adults out there, if you have any kids that are Doctor Who fans, I would urge you, especially within this fandom, and when I say within this fandom, I don't mean this side, I mean the whole entire fandom, okay? It doesn't matter what side the argument you're on, right? But I will say this to you guys, is be very careful, because again, recently it's just been made aware. I've just been made aware of this since this morning. I was a bit tired to do anything about it, but I did pull up a post on Twitter. So apparently a Doctor Who cosplayer out there has been exposed to sending pictures and sending inappropriate text messages and messages to a 14-year-old Doctor Who fan in this fandom. Now, we've had Tom Vance, now we've had this, we've had a couple of more incidents, right? I just want to say to BBC, you ought to be fucking ashamed of yourself, because the only reason why we're in this situation and we've got sex-crazed, lunatic paedophiles in the fandom is because yous make everything about sex. He's fucking disgusting, wild pieces of shit. And by the way, the person that put out the statement to distance themselves from the person happens to be working for Big Finish and was only recently announced for working for Big Finish. So these are the people that are in. And by the way, I'm not saying, these people should be, these people should be given out to by association. They don't know who a person ends up being, right? But at the end of the day, we've seen this time and time again. People on their side, right, will support someone, right? And then it comes out and it turns out that this person has been sending inappropriate messages to teenage girls on Twitter or wherever it was. Anyway, I'll be doing a video on it because, it's important. I was supposed to do actually a video today with someone, but because literally myself and Cheryl did not get asleep until 1:30 this afternoon.
Wow.
That's how bad my sleep pattern is. I'm literally all night and all morning. I even went into bed, right? I'll go to bed early, right? Myself and Cheryl are lying in bed. Ted is lying in his bed, right? In the bedroom, right? We have his bed in the bedroom with us now ever since his accident.
Yeah.
Right?
It's the heat right now as well.
Delta goes off though, right? Guess what happens? Yeah, man across where the football pitch is, right? Decides, the Pats pitch needs to be cut. The grass needs to be cut. So they cut the grass. So that's not fine because it can normally sleep through the lawnmower. But then someone decided to get a fucking metal grinder fucking thing. And start metal grinding that fucking. So that was going on for nearly 2-3 fucking hours. So me and Cheryl could not get a fucking sleep because Ted was barking. But go on, you were going to say something about this saying.
Yeah, it's this is Biff, and what's happening here is that it's like he's the bully, but we'll find out all this out in the extra trilogies 2 and 3. But it's just like he's the one that wants to dominate, and see that when history changes and that, and
I think he's misunderstood though. With Biff, right? Biff is a bully, right? He is, right? But I think Biff is misunderstood. I really do, because remember, when he does eventually, then we will do the trilogy at some stage. Obviously, we're not going to do the 3 movies one after another because people want us to mix it up. Oh, we got Babette in the bombshell in the chat. Nice to see you.
I think with Biff, he's a bit of an attention seeker, and he's wanting to dominate the scene all the time. And it's like.
But then you see him. Do you remember in this where the history's being changed, where his dad did hit Biff, and then Biff is a nice person. See, that's what happened. When he stood up to Biff back then.
Yeah.
And that's where he became an asshole. Now in the second movie, they compare him to Donald Trump, and in fairness, it was a bang on. So if anybody, because like you'll have people today, when they bring it up, these lefties bring, that's Donald Trump. No, this is how you do Donald Trump, man. Watch, you'll see it. Biff is Donald Trump. In the second part, I should say. Sorry, because I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. But Biff is Donald Trump in the second part. Definitely. Legalizing gambling, trying to legalize gambling.
The Biff Tower and all that. Yeah.
Let's give it up to the cast as well, who played multiple parts. Some of them.
Yeah.
I just got back from New Orleans and I couldn't help but imagine if the 2 doctors were shot there as originally planned. Oh, yeah. How was New Orleans, by the way? Obviously, I've been kind of keeping up on, well, up until recently with all this pandemic shit, but up before then, I was actually keeping an eye on our New Orleans because of the fucking, what was it, Hurricane Katrina that time. I'm
Yeah.
wondering how it's, because I know it was devastating. Because I know that what's it, the Two Flags amusement park, wherever they call it, or Four Flags or whatever. I'll forget.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the name properly, but there's famous photographs of that fucking thing now, and you look at it, and it's like Chernobyl after
Yeah.
what happened to New Orleans. So the people of New Orleans, especially that side, of the coast that was hit. I felt so, and I still do to this day, because you never recover from something like that.
Oh.
Sad situation. But tell you, the weather has been acting peculiar all over the world, folks.
Yeah. I just noticed the big thick trails today, this morning.
Yeah, they're come here. Do you know what they're doing? They haven't
Yeah.
been able to do that for the last year and a half or whatever, not as much. And that's what they're doing. They're fucking, because the back of my nose and all's killing me.
Yeah.
That's how
You
you
see,
know. When
I've
you know
came
when
to
they
the
spray something in the air, do you
Yeah.
ever feel afterwards, say about an hour after you see a
Yeah.
plane, you see one of them chemtrails,
Yeah.
that you either feel like dizzy or you get a headache or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, happens to me
Yeah.
all
I
the time.
walked out the back door and there's this kind of smell. I don't know what it is. It's usually about you see in the early hours of the morning. There's this kind of smell. And you don't know what it really is. It's organic in some way. I don't know if it's off the trees or what it is, but see, my idea is that what they're trying to do is suppress the ions in the air so they can make us sick. See, they're trying to suppress the negative ion in the air because the negative ions make us well and the positive ions make us sick. The positive ions come off of the cell phone towers and all that, and
You always notice though they seem to chemtrail around areas where it has a high crime rate.
yeah, I've noticed that as well. I've noticed
Have
even
you? Because I've been watching a few
yeah,
documentaries on it, and I'm telling you now, it's actually very interesting in places, where it's considered, say, low income, violent
yeah,
crimes happen all the time. You always see airplanes, 3 or 4 of them, crossing the sky, crisscrossing in
yeah.
those fucking areas, and I'm like, what the fuck? I
The-
don't care what anybody says. Listen, people
yeah,
deny. People always deny something, even when it's in front of their faces. Right? When I was first told about these chemtrails, I actually laughed at someone.
yeah,
And said, "You're a crazy conspiracy theorist." Right? And that's when I became a crazy conspiracy theorist myself. Because I'm telling you now, right? If people think that the world is what it is and nothing sinister or nothing's going on, governments aren't doing that behind the scenes, and they're not pumping shit into the air and they're not manipulating the weather, right?
yeah.
Well, then you've got your head in the fucking sand, because they have weather manipulating technology since the fucking 60s. Since the
And
fucking 60s.
yeah, I know, and they're supposed to have stopped the people going abroad. And I mean, why are the planes flying, and why is these big thick trails? I mean,
Exactly.
you've got to question it that way. I mean, how can that be a contrail? Because when you see a plane with a contrail, it usually
It
dissipates
does. A
in about
contrail disappears within a couple of minutes,
seconds,
within a couple of seconds.
minutes.
A chemtrail, you'll notice what a chemtrail will fan out, right? Then
Yeah,
it'll turn a darker colour than the
yeah,
clouds. But then about a half an hour later, it will turn into a cloud. That's
yeah.
the thing.
See,
There
what
is weather.
I've seen is the big thick trail left in the sky, and this is today, and this is what I haven't seen in about 5 years. A big thick trail, and then it expands and then you can see the whiteout in the distance, and then
Yeah.
you can see it expanding, and then
Chris
you can
brings
see
up
ripples right
Yeah,
through it.
Chris brings up the water. But
Yeah,
see, here's the thing. You're saying they don't need to do that because they could just poison the water. Sure, they're already
yeah,
poisoning the water as well. The water is all part of it. All of these little things that they're doing are all connected.
yeah,
So, we've known for years that tap water, fluoride especially, can
yeah,
cause defects in women when it comes to giving birth as well. Yeah, scientists don't talk about that to talk about how great fluoride is for the teeth. Did you know that actually fluoride can rot the gums if you overuse fluoride? We've got fluoride in
yeah,
our water as well as in our toothpaste and whatever
yeah,
else. So, it's look, I know what's in the water. I know what they're
yeah,
pumping into the atmosphere. It's just that's why I'd love this time machine right here and go
yeah,
back to the 80s when they start. By the way, see, here's the thing. I've noticed a lot more now in
yeah,
movies that I've watched. Right, if you look at a scene when they're in the sky, right,
mhm,
planes, trains, and automobiles, by the way, is a perfect example. Not only do you see a blood moon in that movie, right, you also see chemtrails.
yeah. So they're starting to add them into old movies.
My point is this has been going on for decades. People
Oh
are
yeah,
only rising up to it now. Um, but there's definitely something going on. There's the cover up of something, right? There's definitely aliens now. Look at
yeah,
people should get worried when the Pentagon and America starts coming out and saying, "Okay, we're taking these UFO sightings seriously now." When they've ridiculed people for over since the 50s, when people
yeah,
start talking about UFOs at first, those people were always ridiculed. The army never I'm not saying the army didn't take them seriously. The army obviously did investigate it over the years, but they never found anything concrete or conclusive, right? We've seen footage then being released by the Pentagon, right? And showing us and them admitting that they don't know what it is, that this is truly an unidentified flying object.
yeah,
When governments start giving disclosures like that, trust me, there's something bigger in the pipeline, right? If they're telling us that there's aliens all of a sudden, there's something else bigger happening. There's
yeah,
something else bigger happening. The alien thing is just to distract us from whatever is happening. Now, people have mentioned the weather acting a little bit weird and stuff like that,
yeah.
and people talking about this pandemic and stuff. What if something's already happened that we don't know, and it's worse than the pandemic?
Yeah, because see these so-called chemtrails you see in the sky. I mean, they're consistent of aluminum, barium, strontium, manganese, a host of other all sorts of different kind of metals. And it's because that the chemical in the what's ever been released from the engines, the engine parts, because of the
Yeah, did you
chemical.
see that footage where there was something coming out of one of these crafts and the military, the pilots
Yeah,
are there like, what's that coming out of the like there was literally they were pumping something into our atmosphere.
yeah. See the one thing is that they've got ejectors outside the side of the planes. You know, wee nozzles like that,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
see
Yeah.
the wee nozzles. The nozzles are for to fuel dump. You know, to get rid of the
Yeah,
fuel
that's
before
right, yeah.
landing. So I don't know if they use that as well. You know, taking a spray stuff.
Just give me a time machine for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
This is
I
brilliant.
think I think this is the brilliant conception. You've got a time machine built into a car, and you've got all the electronics in the car and all that, and
Yeah.
you know it's a way ahead of
Well,
its time.
that one always annoyed me though, because Christ wasn't
Yeah,
born on December 25th.
yeah,
By the way, I'm not saying that Jesus was a hoax or anything. What I'm
no,
trying to say is that Jesus was real, but Jesus wasn't born in at Christmas. That was all changed when they had the conference in Nicaea, where they decided the Gospels and the stuff for what we call our religion today, and the dates were changed to fit in with the winter solstice or something.
There's the flux capacitor.
Yeah, so that's why we got Christmas in 27. Yeah, now I can actually see this. See, here's the bad thing now about all of this, right? So I'm obviously watching a very good copy. It must be wherever I'm watching it on, it must be the Blu-ray version or something, right?
Yeah.
The thing about it is now is I can actually notice the makeup on Doc Brown's neck now.
Yeah, I noticed that myself, and I noticed that in the principal, school principal as well. So you're saying this sucker's
You should get Elon Musk to design fucking the new DeLorean. I love Rick and Morty. I love Rick and Morty as well. Rick is definitely based off Doc Brown.
Yeah.
Has to be. A parallel universe version, of course, because Doc Brown's a nice guy. Yeah.
He's very much like the first Doctor in Doctor Who, Doc Brown with the long white hair, the manicness, you know. He's manic.
I remember watching this for the first time and just being mesmerized.
Yeah.
Like, because we don't really talk about it that much, but let's be honest, the human beings, like, we're fascinated with time travel. We're also fascinated with death.
Yeah.
There's this morbid curiosity over death as well. And we have a morbid curiosity to find out what our lives are going to be like as well. I think that's why a lot of people would time travel. If you ask people, like, where would you go? I'd say they'd probably check themselves out to see if they're around in 10, 15 years' time and see what they're doing. I love this part now.
You know, it's such crafty, this. I mean, he's got something. He knows that this is all going to happen, and he knows that he's going to be shot by these Liberian terrorists, or whatever they are. Can't even say the word now.
Obviously, there's always been a debate, because obviously he has the bulletproof vest on.
Yeah.
Right? So he knows this is going to happen.
Yeah.
So there's always been a thing that he deliberately didn't put in the extra plutonium.
Yeah.
Because obviously,
there they are. They are. See, when I first saw this scene of him being shot, I didn't like it at all. I thought that, I was wondering how he was going to be in it. But then when he went back to 1955, I mean, he met up with a younger Doc Brown.
Also, there's a lot of conspiracy theories surrounding this movie.
Yeah.
And there's also a few things that fans missed, which I didn't, and I never have. And I'm not just saying that, I never did miss the fact that this was called Twin Pines Mall. And then when you go back, it's called Lone Pine Mall. And people apparently didn't cop on to that. Jesus Christ, sure, I knew that ever since I seen the fucking movie. How did you just not see that? It just goes to show you, though, doesn't it, that some people, even though they watch a movie, they're not paying attention to every little thing.
No.
And of course that's natural because you're watching the movie. You know, but if you've seen this movie as long as I have, and as many times as I have, like, you're gonna see these things. But I saw it at the very first time. And the conspiracies that it's connected to 9/11 and JFK's assassination, and I just love the music.
Yeah. I don't like it when he revs the car up, and he goes into 80, it goes over 88 miles per hour.
I know, we think that's fast back then. In the 80s, that would have been fast, by the way. 88 miles an hour would have been probably one of the fastest cars that you could get, right?
Yeah.
Now they go over 220 odd mile an hour.
Let's see if the sucker can do 90.
And I loved it because this is how clever this movie is. It's like Doc Brown's already at the setting this up for us, because when he was talking to Marty, he says, I can't believe that this used to be all farmyard. And Mr. Peeper, he had this plan for to grow pines.
Pine trees. Yeah.
Yeah. So he set it up. But it looks like the Waltons. Our Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah.
Why is a paw?
But this is good, this scene, because they don't know what it is, and they think it is an aeroplane or something like that, and the boy has his magazine and the comic bit, Tales from Space.
I love this. Look at the father believes it or not.
The wife screams.
Remember, it's a time in the 50s where everybody was very impressionable. You know, there was threats of nuclear war. Then you had the Roswell incident. So there was talk of aliens. And remember, the 50s was the time, especially in America, science fiction was coming to the fore. Science fiction was huge. Kids just couldn't get enough of it.
Sorry about your barn.
It's already mutated. You mutate, son of a bitch. I love this, right? Because it's called Twin Pines Mall, remember? Right?
Yeah.
He knocks down a pine here. That's why it becomes Lone Pine Mall. See?
Yeah.
He was already they were already showing you.
Yeah. See it?
See, I've watched this movie too many fucking times, mate.
You say, I'm the same.
This trilogy, man. Listen, I watch this every Christmas anyway, right? It does be on every Christmas anyway, right? But I'll watch it another 2 or 3 times over the year as well. Maybe Halloween. I might watch some Halloween when I watch me Halloween movies and me couple of horrors as well, like The Thing and stuff like that. But I'll always put Back to the Future on. Sure, only recently watched it. Tried to get Cheryl to watch it though. I can't believe she's never seen the Back to the Future trilogy.
Wow.
I'm being honest though, she's not the only one, mate. I've seen loads of people out there that haven't seen this movie or the trilogy, and it actually sickens me. Like,
I just don't know why, because a lot of people haven't seen Gremlins or anything like that.
Listen, I mean, it's iconic, isn't it? I mean, I was thinking about this, right? About remakes and stuff like this. And here's where I stand on it. The reason why movies like Jaws, E.T., Back to the Future, and other movies of that ilk are so iconic is because they were of their time. They can never be made again. Back to the Future wouldn't work now. It wouldn't work. This movie, it was the right time to make this movie in the 80s. It wouldn't work now.
No.
Jaws wouldn't work now. And it wouldn't be the same either, because they wouldn't use practical effects with Jaws. It'd be CGI. And let's be honest, most of the shark movies, except The Meg, and I will give a shout out to Jason Statham for that movie, because I'm not a big fan of his, But I did love the Meg. I thought the Meg was very funny as well in parts, but it was a good movie, right? But the problem is they haven't been able to make a movie like Jaws since. Even Jaws 2 and Jaws 3, and we won't talk, they shouldn't have never had sequels. Same with Terminator. Shouldn't have had a sequel, but it did. And I do like the second one. I'm not going to deny that. Alien, the same. Didn't need a sequel, but got one anyway. But again, some people may agree with me. It didn't necessarily mean need a sequel. It's like Joker today. Everybody Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. So everybody's, great movie, and it is. I've watched it. Brilliant movie, right? But now they're talking about doing a second part. That was a one-off movie.
Yeah.
You don't do a second part to that movie. It was a one-off movie, and you leave it. The ending was perfect, right? He's in the asylum. Leave it now. Done. Move on. Do someone else now.
You see, that's why I think Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3 is fine. I mean, they shouldn't do any more than that.
No, but you see, here's the thing. They did Back to the Future 1, but they already kind of had an idea what they wanted to do for part 2 if the movie became a success. So there always was a contingency plan there. But here's the thing. They did 1 first, but they actually filmed Back to the Future Part 2 and 3 together, like they did with The Matrix a few years later. They actually filmed both parts together. This is why Robert Zemeckis has even come out, and Bob Gale have even come out. Part 2 kind of annoys them because there were some things in Part 2 that they wanted to change and improve on.
Yeah.
That would have made more sense to the movie. But it is. Look, is it a perfect trilogy? No. Is it a great trilogy? Yes. Does it deserve
where all this is taking place in the cafe? This is actually the bank in Gremlins. I mean, they've transformed it into the cafe because this is completely the same set as Kingston Falls. And it's absolutely amazing. They transformed it dozens of times into the current 1985 and 1955, and then to the Wild West as well.
And we're all when I see the love for this movie still to this day.
Yeah.
When I see any time there's that announced, whether it's a Comic-Con. Now, there hasn't been one since, obviously, the pandemic, so I'm pretty sure there will be. And still to this day, and look, even before Michael J. Fox got sick with Parkinson's and ended up the way he did, he was loved by Back to the Future fans, always was. But even to this day, even the fact that he knows that's what he'll be remembered for. And he's done other movies, by the way, that were very good. Teen Wolf as well, he did. He was also in Doc Hollywood. Was it Doc Hollywood? Yeah.
Doc Hollywood, yes.
Yeah, he did that movie as well. Look, he was in a lot of good movies back then, but this is what he will be remembered for, is this trilogy.
Yeah.
But he's loved. All the cast is loved.
So this is a great scene. I mean, he's travelled back in time. He's in 1955. He sees the young Biff, and he sees him fighting with his dad. I mean, it's just like.
By the way, do you notice the actor that's beside Biff? Do you know who the actor is?
Billy Zane.
Billy Zane, yeah.
Yeah.
That ended up being in James Cameron's Titanic.
Yeah, and he was also in
they're all connected, aren't they? Because Spielberg, Cameron, they're all the same ilk.
Yeah. He was also in Critters as well.
Yeah.
See that Critters, the Critters trilogy, 1, 2, and 3, and 4's quite okay. But see the latest one, Critters Attack. I tried to watch it. It's absolutely
me and Dad are a fan of that movie franchise. I have to be honest with you, mate. You know, never being a fan of those movies at all.
I like the critters, but the whole idea of it kind of falls apart after
Yeah, isn't that the one? Isn't
two.
that the movie? The first movie is with, if I'm correct in saying, is with a young Leonardo DiCaprio.
The third film's with a young Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, that movie was made in the 80s, right? And there you go,
Yeah.
right? So he does become the mayor of Hill. See, this is what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. To talk about diversity, right? To talk about
Yeah.
inclusion and how filmmakers and writers are all racist. But
Yeah.
there they were in 1985,
Yeah.
right? The fella that's in the cafe, there's gonna Marty tells him, "You're going to be mayor of this town." Like, that would be unheard of if there was the systemic racism as everybody claims to be. It's not systemic, but his dad was a peeping Tom, which
Yeah.
is interesting because this is how he met his mother, and because
Yeah.
Marty
And
obviously changes
because
this
Marty
now.
had came into the scene and it was him that got run over by the car and changed events.
And then that starts a chain reaction.
He's a peeping Tom.
Right, so there's only going to be 2 movie choices for next week. So John will get to choose one, and I'll get to choose one. We'll
Yeah.
announce them after. So I'll let you think about it. But I've already got mine because we just spoke about it there. So actually, I'll just tell you. So the movie I'm cooking for next week will be Alien.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I'm going back to a little bit. I know we're kind of sticking to the sci-fi vibe right now, but we don't
Yeah.
necessarily have to. I just want to make that clear to you, John, and everybody else that does visit us on this panel. We don't necessarily have to stick to sci-fi. You can go comedy. You can do whatever you want. But because we've been on a little bit of a sci-fi run, I thought, why not top it all off by doing the movie that made us all squirm at egg-shaped looking things. And
Well, I'm going to go for Gremlins.
oh, you're bringing Gremlins back,
Yeah.
right? Well, it's only fair that it gets another whirl at it. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So they're the 2 movies: Alien and Gremlins. And you know what? I'll put the poll up right now, so then Chris can put it in the chat. And then what I'll do then is, for people that are watching back on this stream, it'll be in the link description. And I'll put it in the link description of every video that I do this week, just so it gets the votes. But 75 people actually voted last week, so thank you. We really do appreciate it. Back to the Future obviously won, and then the movie that was second was the movie I chose, which was Journey to the Center of the Earth, which didn't do too badly.
This is hilarious. This scene, he's with Lorraine, his mother, when she was younger, and she's got the hots for him, apparently.
Which Marty's reaction is like every person's reaction that'd be sitting in that situation right now. When Michael J. Fox visited the Back to the Future ride in Universal at Air opening, he asked if the Batmobile could be moved. It was parked in front of the Cross promotion. He said that looking at it made his wallet weep, LOL. Actually, he said it made his wallet ache, which really made me laugh. At least Mike was being honest, which in itself is refreshing. Yeah, I mean, look, he cares about this. I have to be honest, right? There are a few movies out there, right, that actors work on. And let's be honest, you know, they may not like, for example, Christopher Plummer, right? Christopher Plummer is a great actor, right?
Yeah.
And he's done some terrific movies. He even did one with Denzel Washington a few years back. I think it was called Inside Man or something like that.
Yeah.
Jodie Foster was in it. He played a Nazi sympathizer or something, but became a huge banker in America and stuff. And there was a robbery and something to prove, you know. So and Christopher Plummer's character basically got Jodie Foster to come in and basically make sure that nothing was taken. That he basically his past wasn't exposed, right? But he's not going to be remembered for that movie. He's not going to be remembered for all the other movies that he did right up until his death. He's going to be remembered for one movie and one movie only. And it's a movie that he actually absolutely hated working on. But over the years before he died, before he fell down, by the way, yeah, this is what annoys me, right? And this is what made me sad. I've always liked Christopher Plummer. My mum is a huge fan of his, so I grew up with Christopher Plummer. I grew up with the movie The Sound of Music, right? That's the
Yeah.
movie he will always be remembered for, right? I grew up with that movie. That movie, my mother would put that movie on every weekend when my dad went out. We'd sit down, she'd buy curry for the whole lot of us, and we'd all sit down together as a family with me mum, and we'd sit there, watch that movie, and sing the songs together, right? That's what we used to do. But that's what he'll be remembered for. He won't be remembered for any of the
Yeah.
other movies that he did. He'll be remembered. It's the same with Michael J. Fox. Even though Michael J. Fox did do other great movies, he's always going to be remembered for the Back to the Future trilogy. And it is kind of sad that they're defined by one performance, isn't it? But what legacy to leave behind, though? I don't think Michael J. Fox can be too disheartened because, and I don't think he is. He has fully embraced this. Do you remember when the anniversary did the Jimmy Kimmel skit? And Michael J. Fox is obviously his Parkinson's has taken hold over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But it was nice to see, but at the same time, it was sad when I seen how old Doc, how old Christopher Lloyd is now, and then Michael J. Fox, and still, even for that brief, 3-minute skit, I felt like I was back in the future. I know that sounds a bit corny, but I felt like I'd been transported back to my childhood.
Yeah.
And it was brilliant. And to see the two of them again. Look, secretly deep down, would I love to see a part 4? Yeah, of course I would. Every fan would. But the thing about it is, if it was going to happen, it should have happened after part 3. Part 3 was released in 1990, so you could have done part 4 within the next couple of years, 92, 93, but they didn't. So no, it's a perfect trilogy. Leave it. I mean, they could have carried on the adventures because remember, if you watch the animated series, you know Doc Brown and his missus end up having kids. One of these kids robs the time machine, and then they have to go back through the timelines and fix it.
Yeah. I've no doubt that you see if Michael J. Fox never had Parkinson's disease and Christopher Lloyd had a good script and it was a good script and there was a good film for a Back to the Future 4, I think they would have done it.
Oh, I honestly believe that if the right script had came along and all the original people that worked on the movie were willing to come back, and even if it was to hand over the baton to the next generation, I'd have like what you're trying to do with Ghostbusters. I wouldn't mind that it was done in a way where it's Marty's kids and Doc Brown's kids, and maybe they're causing a bit of mischief, you know, like you did with the cartoon. But look, I'm going to say this now. It's, as I said, it's not a perfect trilogy, but it's a great trilogy. And that's it. As far as I'm concerned, it should never be remade now. It's done. It's like Scarface as well. I know there was an original Scarface, but then they did the one with Al Pacino. But again, you couldn't make Scarface Al Pacino's version today. It wouldn't work.
Because I mean, you had Michelle Pfeiffer in it, and she was absolutely gorgeous in it.
She was stunning in that movie.
She was too good. Yeah, I mean, you can't get actresses like that, and you can't get
No,
actors
you
like.
can't. No, no. Michelle Pfeiffer, Sharon Stone,
Yeah,
they're all the different ilk. They were women. They were
yeah,
women. I mean, Sharon, that Sharon Stone was in, and Michelle Pfeiffer was in anyway.
yeah,
And they were always with the lead men at the time, whether it be a Sylvester Stallone or whatever. They were always.
yeah, and it's
But
the same with Kim Basinger as well.
yeah, she was brilliant. Oh man,
Oh yeah,
what's it? What's that? What's that one?
LA Confidential.
L.A. Confident. Oh my god, what a movie! And what a stellar cast. Kevin
Yeah,
Spacey, fucking. Who else was in that movie?
Alec
Fucking
Baldwin. I
Alec
think that was
Baldwin.
her husband.
Then you had the Untouchables. Do you remember that movie with Kevin
Yeah,
Costner and Jesus, man. This is the best part because Doc
yeah,
realizes I love this moment for the simple fact is because up until then we don't know Doc has been a failed
yeah,
inventor until he drew the. That's what I'm saying. He even says it himself. Nothing that he ever invented was really that good until
yeah.
he actually invented this
The
time
time
machine.
machine.
And now look, he realizes that he's actually invented something that works.
So he
And
got the idea because when he hit his head off the sink, a vision
yeah,
happened to him, and then he got the idea of the flux capacitor.
there, I finally invented something that works.
Finally, the flux capacitor. I finally invent something that works.
I love this scene as well because when he finds out Ronald Reagan is the president, he says, "No wonder your president is an actor because of the camera." I think
He
that's
needs to look good
brilliant.
on TV.
Oh, brilliant, man!
It's good that how he could hook up the camcord, the camera to the old
Yeah, in the
1950s
50s, I
telly.
don't know how that was possible.
Imagine if you could travel back in time, get a video recorder, and record Doctor Who live. I mean, with all the missing
Oh, and then bring it
episodes,
back, and then bring it back, the missing
and bring it
episodes.
back.
Yeah, but here's the question I'd ask you all, right? And give an honest answer. In the state that the BBC is in right now, if you actually had those classic stories, would you hand them over? Would you trust them to?
I don't think I would trust them because they want to make their pound of flesh out of it. I mean, what money would they give you in return? You know, it's like they want to make all this money out of it. You know,
Yeah,
they're
but
not
but I don't
interested.
think they'll do it with Back to the Future because
Yeah,
for listen, there's been talk of remaking this franchise since the early 2000s, right?
yeah,
After we got past the 90s period, right? The last movie was in 1990. So 10 years on from that, when we got into the 2000s, the talk
yeah,
of Back to the Future being remade was already being spoken about. And I even remember even back then in the early 2000s, them coming out, Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale, both of them coming out at some con and saying it out straight that as long as they're alive, and this is the way they put it, that's why I actually made a joke about it. You shouldn't have fucking said that, lads, because they turned around and says, as long as we're alive, those movies will never be remade. Now, the fact that they said as long as they're alive, which suggests to me at some stage when these lads pass away, that
yeah.
Hollywood might pick them up and actually because it'll become if their estates don't own the movies, I don't know how it works, then they could make them again. And that's my fear. I still don't want them. But as long as they're here, they're not going to be made. So they shouldn't be remade. And
Yeah, nothing should be remade.
If any Hollywood greedy executive producers out there and thinks that they shouldn't. Listen, you're not going to make the same money back. They're not going to become the cultural icon. this is where I think Hollywood misses the point. These movies all became cultural icons, but it doesn't mean because they became cultural icons that fans want them remade. We don't want them remade. We've never wanted them remade. Now, if you want to continue a story on a certain franchise, yeah, now that can also store up a lot of emotions in fans. But if you wanted to continue the story, I mean, example is Star Wars, but they didn't actually do it properly. But that's an example where if you want to continue a story, that's how you go about it, except you don't do what Disney did and fuck it up. You know what I mean? But that's what you do. You continue the story. So if you're going to do a Back to the Future 4 or say Back to the Future, Back to the Future, Back to the Future Returns or whatever you want to bleed and call it, right? Have it about Marty, his wife, Doc, and his kids, or Clara's kids. You know,
Yeah.
one of Clara's son or daughter is an inventor, and they find out about Doc's time machine, and they go back through time to stop something happening that happened that changed the course of their family's history, like what these movies are about. But that's how you could do it. Right, you make it about the kids, you know, and you bring the actors back, but you treat them with respect and you give them decent parts as well. You don't give them a bit part cameo like they did what Sony did with Ghostbusters 2016. You know, even though I will still say this, the decent part of that movie is the cameos, except for Bill Murray's, because Bill Murray clearly doesn't give a fuck and is taking the piss out of the franchise at this stage. But the rest of the cameos that they had in that movie were brilliant.
Yeah.
When
but we'll have to see what Ghostbusters Afterlife is going to be like. I mean, they're all supposed to be back.
Listen, it will be good. It will be good. It will.
Yeah.
Even though I do have me doubts about that little teaser that I seen with the marshmallow fucking yolks where they're burning themselves and eating themselves. Like that did seem a bit, I thought, here. But I'm still willing to give it a go. Look, at the trailer was nothing like a Ghostbusters movie, which surprised me. But it also surprised me how much it kept me engaged.
Yeah.
I have high hopes for this movie, like I did with Sonic the Hedgehog, and Sonic the Hedgehog didn't let me down.
Yeah.
If this movie, look at, this is where I stand on the Ghostbusters franchise, right? If people want to know where I stand. If Afterlife fails, becomes a flop, or they do stuff in it that they're not supposed to be doing, well then in my opinion, Ghostbusters franchise is dead in the water.
Yeah.
Now,
see,
again,
what worries me is that the existing Ghostbusters could be ghosts. You know, to fill in the gap of the deceased Egon Spengler. You know, they could do that.
I'm being honest though. While you could do that probably in a cartoon, and you'd probably get away with it in a kid's cartoon. If you brought Egon back in the movies as a ghost, I think that would upset a lot of fans.
You see, I think they're going to have him as a ghost at he's going to come back as a ghost to kind of help out the children out. You know, the existing Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I don't like that. See, I want Paul Rudd's character to do that.
Yeah.
Because in the trailer, he's telling the kids about Ghostbusters, so he grew up in that era. So his character to me feels like a character that has read up on the Ghostbusters, knows everything there is to know about the Ghostbusters. Sure, when the kid hands him the proton pack, oh no, the ghost trap, he goes, oh cool, a ghost trap. Like so I think he'll be the one that's going to teach the kids.
Yeah.
If they brought
just don't know. I don't know about that because they could decide that the Paul Rudd character becomes possessed by the Keymaster. It's like the terror dogs must come back, and it's like Zool's coming back and that. It's like more or less like a sequel to the first Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Babette is bringing up about the deep fake technology.
Yeah.
Right? And he makes a good point there. But, see, again, even though I know they can deep fake Marty and Doc's face now and make them
Yeah.
look younger, you could actually bring the actors back and the actresses and everybody that worked on the
Yeah.
movie, deep fake them to make them look younger.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, unless, right, this is the only way it'd work for me. If Bob Gale, Robert Zemeckis, and Steven Spielberg, all the people that were involved in this movie, were to come back,
Yeah.
right? Marty, Michael J. Fox, I should say, and all of the other actors and actresses that are still alive were to come back, right? Then I would say, let me see the script. And if
Yeah.
the script was decent and we got to hear what they had planned and it was decent enough, then I'd be down for it. But I'd only be down for it if they all signed up for it and they all agreed and it wasn't some studio contract thing that they had to do. Like, they have to genuinely want to do it. It's like Bill Murray for Ghostbusters 2016. He
Yeah.
didn't want to be in that movie, but he was forced to be in it
Yeah.
because the contract that he has, because he's part of, he had to be part of it. So that's why his cameo is so disrespectful, because he didn't
Yeah.
want to be in it. He doesn't recognize the 2016. Because have you seen him reacting to Afterlife?
Well, he
Bill
seems
Murray
to be
actually reacts to the
be
little
really
geezer, and he
over the
seems to be
moon
down
about it.
for it. Yeah? He seems to be down for it. Right, I'm going to leave you with John for a couple of minutes, right? Because I just have to do something real quick. I'm going to be still in the chat, but I just have to go
Yeah.
and do something. So, John, you just talk away there if you don't mind.
Right. Well, we're at the scene where Marty is trying to convince his dad, well, his young dad, George McFly. He's in his kind of radiation suit and all that, and he's got his Van Halen music. You know, he's going to be like an extraterrestrial, and he's going to try and scare him to try and convince him to go out with Lorraine. That that he knows that he's made the mistake because he's changed the history. You know, it's like when we find out in the end of the film that it's probably changed for the best, and you can see that Biff is no longer the bully. He's cleaning the car and that, and being nice and doing as he's told. So George McFly here he's basically just coming to the conclusion that because that Darth Vader, you know, it was like Marty pretended to be Darth Vader, and that he's going to try and convince himself to go out with Lorraine. But the only problem is that Lorraine, his mother, is infatuated by Marty, and that's the kind of the toughest thing that they'll have to kind of try and work out what they're going to do. But it's always Biff that's going to ruin any chances. I mean, you know, that's we'll find that later out. We'll find out later on. They're inside the cafe now. The cafe now that George McFly is going over to kind of, you know, he's taking all the notes down, and you know he's going to try and woo Lorraine. And here comes Biff. So this is actually quite a good thing, actually, that Marty McFly travelling back in time to kind of sort a family crisis. I mean, he can. I mean, it's really turning his dad into a kind of hero, basically, in the end. So we see the event. He's running away with the skateboard. And this is the exact scene, just like in part two, but with part two, it's the kind of hoverboard kind of thing. But it's so funny. I mean, there's a big truck full of manure. I mean, that's just perfect timing. And the manure joke is in Back to the Future 3 as well. And Bifford Tannen gets shot and falls into the manure. But at this point, it doesn't matter what Marty does. I mean, his mother's still infatuated by him. So basically, what he'll try to do is try to trick her to go out with him and actually bring George McFly around to kind of correct the situation. So right now, that Doc Brown has got the idea of what's happening to him in the future when he gets shot by the Libertines, and what will happen is that he'll give him the idea to use a kind of deflection, shall we say, a kind of bulletproof vest, so he doesn't get shot. Now they worked out that the 1.21 gigawatts of electricity that should be generated into the flux capacitor by the lightning strike that hits the clock tower, which is destined to happen on that very date, so that they use the idea that they can actually funnel that lightning bolt charge right into the flux capacitor and send them back into 1985. So, which it's a good plot. I like how they did the model tests with the car and that. To kind of simulate the lightning. So this is basically leading to the enchantment under the sea dance. So basically, it's his mother is asking him out. It's quite a good plot to this. I mean, it's the dilemma in it. I mean, it kind of makes the movie go forward and forward and forward, and it plays in with the time travel element. The what if I go back in time theory, which is quite good, and it's handled well in this movie.
Interestingly enough, if this movie was made today, it'd be very problematic. Number
Yeah,
one, you'd have them all giving out about the fact that Marty's mother has the hots for him,
yeah,
and then you'd have our side giving out the fact that George McFly is a weak man.
yeah,
Blah 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 blah. See, our side needs to remember as well that there were weak men and strong women in our movie franchises as well. It's not a new phenomenon that's just happening. It just seems to be happening a lot more now. But when I hear people give out about Indiana Jones, for example, the new movie, I mean, for
yeah,
fuck's sake, are you forgetting The Last Crusade? Indiana Jones and his father were both made a fool of by a blonde bombshell. Or have we
yeah.
forgotten that? Like Indiana Jones hasn't had much luck with women through that franchise. So if that happens and it involves a woman, when you see they'll all be giving, oh, they don't care what they did with Indiana Jones. A woman's just made a fool of him. Well, yeah, because it's happened in the past. So, like, cop on to yourselves, giving out that shit that hasn't even happened yet.
I really didn't like the Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull.
No,
You
I didn't
know,
like that one. There's only a
I
well,
mean,
there's only a trilogy.
yeah,
There's only a trilogy. The fourth one doesn't exist as far as I'm concerned.
yeah,
It ended at the Last Crusade. I mean, the ending was perfect. They said they ride off into the sunset. You couldn't have had a more perfect ending to a movie franchise. But dude, they got greedy.
and Sean Connery was really good in that. I mean,
Yeah, he
as his
was.
father.
He was. He was brilliant. You didn't
Yeah,
need to do another one. What
yeah.
did I miss? We're just watching Back to the Future and just talking about the actors of the era and different things associated.
So what's happened is that he's confronted his father about going out to the enchantment under the sea dance. You know, He's at the point of talking to Doc Brown about trying to get the events right, so before he goes back in time. So basically now he's in the cafe, and he's going to write about what happens to Doc Brown at the Twin Pines Mall. So he's going to write all that down, what's happened to him, to kind of warn him. But he already knows that. Doc Brown already knows what's going to happen because he saw it on the camcorder.
Yeah, he's not saying anything to Marty.
He's not
He
saying
already
anything.
knows, because when Marty was walking in, do you remember he was rewinding
Yeah.
the part where he was saying, "Run, Marty," and he sees himself being shot. So he knows something bad's going to happen. But then when Marty does confront him in the future, then he says, "Well, how did you know? Because you basically ripped up the letter," and he shows him the letter then. But he'd already known before that. So you are right. There are little things like that, like. And Marvin Berry, obviously related to, supposedly related to the famous Chuck.
Chuck Berry, yeah.
Very good.
And they say that films weren't diverse back in the day, but they were.
Yep. When women were proper as well, and men dressed proper. And men respected women back in the 50s, a lot of chivalry and,
It's the weird thing is now that, say if you're going into a shop, a woman holds the door open for you to come in now.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
It's nice to see, though. I don't mind that. But do you know what I hate? You see a lot of it on social media, or people being so angry, or women being so angry that they even go as far as to do little 30-second videos about, I don't want no man holding the door open for me and all of this rubbish. Like, for because it shows they're male dominant or some mad shit like that. Listen, blokes don't do that, right? Hold the door open for women because they're trying to be macho, right?
Yeah.
It's just a nice thing to do. And if you have a problem with men being nice, then there's something fucking wrong with you, right? I still, to this day, now I do still, in Ireland, slightly different. Like, even we do have these wokies over here, but they know better not to say anything over here. So if I hold the door open, like, and one of them, I'll get a look. That's how I know they're a wokie, because I'll get a look off a woman if you open the door. Or I'm always, Cheryl will tell you, I'm like, even when I'm in a shop, I'm like, "Oh, thanks, love. Thanks very much. Appreciate it." Like, I'm like that. I remember I said that I'm not your love. And I'm like, I don't mean it that way. It's just what I've always said. Like, it's just, that's the way I talk. Oh, yeah, sorry, Tim, man. I should have said it to you, but Chris has already went ahead and done it. We're an hour and 18 minutes in. Of course, we got another 20-odd, 25, 30 minutes left. So, yeah, if you want to see where we are in the movie and talk about. But this scene...
I mean, this scene is where the kiss scene happens.
Still cringy.
Yeah, it's very cringy. And then she realizes it was Lois.
Yeah, it's like kissing her little brother.
Her little brother,
and I was like, well, how do you know it's like kissing your little brother? I was like, what the fuck? As an adult now, as a kid, I didn't realize. No, you don't realize that. See, that's the thing. You're so innocent back then. You don't realize all of these things, right? It's like now they don't want you to have innocence anymore. No, we got to let kids know everything now. Like, let them know what this means and blah, blah, blah. Rubbish, man. Just let
it's like something really weird about you. I mean, it's like you traveling back in time, and you've had your hand in with the human race, that you probably kick-started the human race, or your DNA or something special went into the human race, and it kind of emerged in the future or something like that.
Now, this scene is very interesting because Marty has changed the future now, right?
Yeah.
Marty shouldn't have been in that car. It obviously should have been George.
Yeah.
But because George sees what's happening here, George finally gets the courage, which he wouldn't have. He would have gave
Yeah.
in to Biff that time. Biff would have knocked him out.
Yeah.
Biff would have ended up with Lorraine
Yeah.
eventually after killing George. That would have been the future. So even in part 2, like, we find out that Biff is an evil bat. He kills George, like, just so he
Yeah.
can get with Lorraine. Like, even after he's been with Marilyn Monroe and stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, Lorraine is a nice looking girl, but Marilyn
Yeah.
Monroe, seriously. Marilyn Monroe or Lorraine?
You see,
Marilyn.
these guys, the musicians, I mean, they're not to be messed with. They're just going to go after them. So he's trapped in the boot of the car. And then when he realizes it's Biff,
Yeah, but he's got a choice to make here, right? This is why I've always loved George. This is why I've always loved the McFly family. The family itself, right? Because we get to explore the whole family in the future and the past. Remember, the whole family, all of the McFly men, they all had the good intentions, a good
yeah,
family, good solid family. And this is what I mean. This is what I love about George. He finally realizes that he's got two choices here. He can either spend the rest of his life being Biff's bully or Biff's piece for him to bully, or he can stand up to him. It's when he does this to Lorraine is when George
yeah,
says enough is enough. I did this one time. I was getting bullied, and
yeah,
not a moment like where a girl got pushed down, but I had one of those moments where I
yeah,
actually, I won't say I knocked me bully out, but I stood up to me bully, and it resulted in me and that person and myself becoming friends.
yeah,
Um, that's the thing. Yeah, you find out sometimes that these people have a lot more in common than you, and it's something
yeah,
either going on at home that makes them act out. And that happened to be the case.
yeah,
That's it. Knocked Biff out and he gets the girl.
yeah. But still, like, his sister's disappearing. His brother's already disappeared.
Yeah. Yeah, now George needs to get with the program.
Yeah,
He needs to hurry up.
because of the music, they have to listen to the music, and when they're dancing in the dance floor, that's when they kiss, and that's when things will kind of.
I like the music in this movie as well. I love when he first appears in
Yeah,
1955 and it's played Mr. Sandman.
yeah.
And then they do the same for the second part as well, which I think is deadly.
But when he starts to disappear, that's him in trouble.
That's why never save your father, even if he is being a peeping Tom, because you
Yeah,
never know what you could do. Or money messing, of course. Like in the context of this movie, though, if he hadn't interfered with that situation, then George and Lorraine would have got together. But then there would have been no movie. So, like, I suppose.
Yep. See, I'm starting to
I was
disappear.
never a bully, says Tim. I was a star of high school hockey team. I had bodyguards. Well, good for you, mate. I wish I had that kind of protection, but unfortunately, you know, whereas you are good at sport, I had to really work hard at it. And I didn't get good at sports until I got a little bit older in school. That was the problem. It was only when I got older then that I was actually able to hold me own. But
Yeah.
look, it happens.
Yeah.
Some people in life are just naturally talented and end up, you know, everything goes right for them or whatever. That's just the way it is. Some of us, I'm not saying nobody works hard. Everybody has to work hard at where they get in life.
Yeah.
Some just work a little bit harder than others, and I don't think anybody deny that. And especially if you're in a situation or you're in an area that would be considered disadvantaged, And I grew up in a working class area, and their class is disadvantaged
Yeah.
areas. So, I had to work hard to become a head chef. It's like, I'm not saying that people other people had to work hard, but let's just put it this way: if your mommy and daddy has a bit of money, and you're not doing great. They could pay financially to fucking have their
Yeah.
kids pass. Whereas no, I've no such luxury. I have to use my brain box.
Well, this is a good scene here when he starts to kind of use these kind of modern.
But ice hockey, I used to ice skate myself now. Uh, Believe it or not, there was an Irish. We had a Dublin ice rink. My uncle
Yeah.
owned it for a while. But they had an ice hockey team. I used to go down and watch them train, and then I'd be able to go onto the ice then on my own, actually, and skate on the ice for about 2 or 3 hours a day. Um, they were good times, man. Yeah, I can ice skate. Yes. Now it's been ages since I was on ice, but yeah, we could ice skate. You spent 2 or 3 hours on the ice. I remember the first time I was on it, scared the shit out of me, man. Didn't think, honestly, didn't think I'd, because I fell a couple of times. Nah, there's a couple of ambulances and all outside the place when I remember when I was going in. That always scared the crap out of me. There was always someone bleeding, falling on the ice and hurting themselves. But back then, it was just like it wasn't a big deal. You went to hospital, you got patched up, and you were back on the ice again. But yeah, love ice skating. Never played hockey though. My cousin did.
Just look at the reaction of all of them.
Yeah.
I guess you're not quite ready for that.
Marty, that was very interesting music. Ted is not a happy bunny.
But I still like Back to the Future too. I mean, it's good. It's just a good film as well.
No, it is a good movie.
Yeah,
It is the weakest one, without a shadow of a
yeah.
doubt. It definitely is the weakest movie out of
But
the
Back to the
series.
Future 3, it's awesome.
That is a cracking movie.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. But even when Marty tells him, "Oh, me dad knocked Biff out," and he
Uh-huh.
said he's never stood up to him in his life, and the doc already knows that
Yeah,
the future's already been changed by that,
yeah.
but he doesn't do anything about it. He lets it go because I think he knows that the family, you know, are a good family. And I think that's why he allows it. Because in fairness, in reality, Doc should actually say to him, "No, we have to go back and do it again." Even though it's a bit more dangerous this time because now there's two versions of you, three versions of you, and three
Yeah.
versions of me. But you've got to make sure that events unfold. You leave your dad alone. Because remember, in part two, he makes it very clear to him: don't look at Arton, don't get involved in stuff and all of this, like because after the events of part one.
Yeah.
Sure, he knew when he was hugging him there. That's
Mhm.
why he took the letter out of the yoke because he knew by that
Yeah.
him hugging him.
So he knows exactly what's going to happen anyway. So he'll put on a bulletproof vest.
Hmm.
And it's good how he climbs the way up, and he doesn't realise he could be electrocuted as well. You know,
Yeah.
that would have changed history.
Oh, that would have screwed the whole timeline up. Sure.
So he's got 4 minutes kind of left.
Oh, here's an interesting question. If you could go back in time and change any event in your life, what would it be, and what would you hope would change? Oh,
I don't think you can change it because even if you did, it would cause a lot of problems anyway.
yeah. I mean,
It's
don't get
like,
me wrong. I mean, me growing up, you know, are there things that I probably would have changed and done and went in a different direction? Yeah, but then I wouldn't be the person I am today. I don't think I'd, you know, as much as you'd like to change events, you really can't mess with. And
no,
it's the whole question, isn't it? That if you could go back through time and kill Hitler as a baby,
yeah.
would you go back and do it because you know what he's going to do? But
But you
and I mean,
couldn't possibly do that
I
because,
mean, even in Deadpool too, they show that
yeah,
scene with Deadpool. He goes back, right, and
yeah,
he has a chance, but he can't do it. I think it's
yeah,
the same thing. While you'd probably want to change personal events because you think your life might be better, you don't know what that single event, how it changed the course of your path and others. So you wouldn't just be affecting you, you'd be affecting someone else as well. And, you know,
it's like going back in time and trying to save the Titanic, and then something else happens. I mean, it could have been even a worse disaster.
exactly.
It could have hit an iceberg in the way back.
That's what I mean. You might be able that's what I'm saying, but as well. But like at the end of the day, this is the thing about time. Look,
Yeah,
if time travel is possible, the reason why we probably don't know about it is because it can really damage the timeline. For all we know, man, some fucking leftist woke idiot probably went back through time and planted the seed for all of this crap years back and manipulated the timeline. Because I woke up and this world was completely fucking different, man.
yeah.
What the fuck? I woke up one day, seriously, man. I woke up one day and it was like, holy shit, what happened? What happened to the world? Telling you, man, I wouldn't be surprised if one of those lefty wokies got a time machine and went back through time and changed shit. Because
Yeah.
remember, there's a thing called the Mandela effect out there where people are saying that they perceive history differently to others. What if that is an actual real thing? I know it's being dismissed, but what if it actually is a real thing? And some people, it hasn't affected them, and some people actually do believe that certain things happened a certain way in history than others believe. You know, I don't think we should look. We all joke and laugh about, oh, where would you go and all this, but on a serious question, serious note, I don't think time travel, if it was possible, I don't think it should be fucked with.
No.
By all means, go to the future, but never go back to the past.
unless time travel is possible one way, that it is quite necessary for you to be in that past to make that connection possible. You know, to a specific thing or an event that you must be there
Mm.
to kind of fill in that gap. That if you were a time traveller and you were destined to time travel, I mean, you would see it in your current, your present. You'll get an idea that there was a purpose for you to travel back in time.
Tell you, that was the quickest storm of all time, though.
Yeah,
That's the one thing that's always annoyed me about this movie. That's
yeah,
the only thing. Where's the fucking storm? Why couldn't you have kept the
yeah,
storm down?
yeah.
You know?
See, I think it is still going, but you know that once Marty comes back, and you know it's for the other part, and he meets up with Doc Brown again, and Doc Brown says, "Oh, I've already sent you back to the future." And he says, "I am back. I'm back from the future." And then he has to go back in time to 1885. You
By the
know
way,
that
very
one.
interesting about that character there, the drunk.
Yeah,
Apparently, he has his own little backstory and stuff, and
yeah,
if you go back or read whatever they've done ever since, he was
yeah.
apparently he was very successful, and
Yeah.
he ended up becoming broke, bankrupt, and that's how he
Oh,
ended up. Because in all the timelines,
yeah,
he's a drunk.
yeah.
Oh, there's the Libyans in their little VW.
It's great that once the time machine comes out of the past, it's frozen.
Right, now watch the sign. Don't know how people didn't notice this, man. Look, it literally says it there right in front of his eyes. Lone Pine Mall.
Yeah,
Everybody, literally for years. I was looking at the comments and all, people go, "Wow, I didn't know that." Seriously?
yeah.
Oh, for
It
fuck's sake.
changed.
There's very fascinating videos about the conspiracies behind this movie.
But it was always Twin Pine malls.
No, but because
But
he's at the coming, but because he's at the coming back a little bit earlier, it's
yeah,
going to change because
yeah,
reality has changed. It's our reality's already changed.
yeah.
His past has already changed. In reality, though, you do have a point. In actual fact, it probably should have changed as
Yeah,
soon as Marty disappeared in the time machine, and then when
yeah,
Marty runs up to it, then
yeah.
it changes to Lone
Lone
Pine
Pine
Mall.
malls. Because that was his interference at Mr. Peabody's. They're running over the pine.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. It's a little thing that they messed up on, but I mean,
Yeah,
look, we're that brainy that we figured it out anyway, so it doesn't matter. There's the letter, but you already knew
yeah,
because you'd seen the video footage because he kept rewinding it.
yeah. But that's not all. I mean, Marty goes back and sees the complete change in his family.
Yeah, and then it changed it, but lots of people didn't know that. But what I'm
Yeah,
saying is that when Marty comes back in the time machine that little bit earlier, right, when he
yeah,
runs up to it, in
yeah,
reality, it should still say Twin Pines Mall because
yeah,
Marty, the other version of Marty, hasn't left in the time machine yet. He's only in
yeah,
the car when he runs up. He
yeah,
sees him driving around the car. Whereas if he had a ran up to it, right? And we see the sign that said Twin Pines Mall. Then as soon as the car disappeared, then it pans back to the sign with Marty looking, and it changes to Lone Pine Mall, right?
yeah.
And then he rolls down the hill. So yeah, it's a little tiny mistake, but it's one that can be forgiven because it's like it's the point is still there. You know, it did change from twin to lone. So and then this is where Marty realizes that his brother is not a loser. His sister now has loads of boyfriends, and
Hmm.
he has his dream Jeep, but he's still with the same girl. Still, though, do you know what? Like the family's become successful, yeah,
Yeah,
right. But we know Lyons Estate where they're living is a bit of a shithole. So you
yeah,
think with everything, with all the money that they were bringing in, him working in an office and she eating breakfast and stuff and having all the
yeah.
but they'd living in a better gaff. They'd be living in a better house. Like the mother and George and Lorraine come back like after going to tennis after being at the tennis club.
Yeah,
Like they wouldn't be living in a shitty little house like that.
but even when he goes back in time and Back to the Future too, I mean, he goes into his bedroom only to find a young girl, and it's a
Yeah,
different
that's right.
family in it,
Yeah.
a completely different family. But it's with all the improvements that has happened since his interference.
Yeah. And since his dad stood up to Biff,
Yeah,
his mother is no longer an alcoholic.
yeah,
His dad's no longer a loser. His brother
yeah,
is not locked up in jail or a pizza delivery guy. And his sister's not a loser.
yeah,
And there's Biff waxing the car.
yeah.
Now, now even though Biff
Now,
wasn't,
Biff, don't con me.
in fairness, though, I didn't like the way they made Biff's character. That they did like fair enough. I get
Yeah,
he got punched in the face, but they
yeah,
could have made the two of them friends,
yeah.
instead of making them. But I think they wanted to show the because obviously the second movie, then we get to see why he's like we get to see the vicious side of Biff.
Hmm. And this is his delivery arriving, and it's his book.
Inspired by, of course, his son.
Yeah, and he's got the Toyota.
Yeah, I
Toyota.
wanted one of them myself, even as a kid. And then when I was growing up, I still wanted one, and I'd still want one. I still want one. Actually, see the BMW that's behind him there.
Yeah,
My an old friend of mine, he actually has a red one. No, green one. He had a red one originally. Red one broke down, but he took parts off that, bought a green one to repair the green one. The engine was perfect in it. It just needed a bit of work. So he basically replaced all the panels and stuff. He still drives that. It's classed as a classic car now. He has to drive as a classic car. Classic and Jordans. It's mad. There he
But you
is.
see, you notice that Jennifer's hair turns a different shade in Back to the Future 2.
Well, it's a different actress.
Different actress.
Apparently, I think it was her mother or something. She was looking
Yeah,
after her mother at the time. Her mother was
yeah,
sick. Now she is in the animated
yeah.
stuff. They brought her back. She's still very heavily involved in Back to the Future, and they do.
Wow.
She lent her voice to the game as well, as far as I know. So they stayed very loyal to her. It was just because her
Yeah,
mother was sick at the time.
yeah.
She
Well, I
couldn't
think
do
the
that.
first Jennifer is attractive than the second one.
Yeah, you notice the difference in the two Jennifers.
Yeah.
All right, I didn't like the second Jennifer.
No, I didn't.
The first Jennifer was kind of like the all American sweetheart kind of
Yeah,
thing, whereas the other actress that they got in, she tried to play that. Whereas I think
yeah,
the actress that they got for the first role, she actually was probably all of that. An American chair. She probably was a cheerleader in a past life. I wouldn't be surprised. Um, so she understood it. She wasn't playing it. She was it. Whereas the other actress was playing it. And look, I don't knock the other actress because she's in part two, and she's in part three. She's mostly asleep in part two, but she's not that bad. I mean, look, it's I prefer the original, but still, I'm not gonna knock. She came in, she did her job, and she didn't do too bad. And I mean, she does act a bit like her, so I mean, she did study a woman, but yeah. But look, I'm gonna just give me ratings straight away. I think he's already know this is a 10
yeah.
out of 10 movie. There's not
That's a
even.
10 out of 10 for me.
It's not even. There's no even debate.
No.
To be had here. It's look, movies back then. Spielberg, Zemeckis, yeah, Cameron. Even Ridley Scott at one stage. They're all making these iconic movies, and they didn't know at the time that they were iconic. They made them, but they made them with love, and you
Yeah,
can see it. It still comes across on screen still to this day. So yeah, it's a 10 out of 10 for me. There is no look at the whole trilogy. Even part two
yep,
has its problems, but that's even a 10 out of 10 because there's some
yeah,
brilliant scenes in that. There's actually part two has some of the best scenes in it. I have to be honest. It was just I would have liked a lot more of the future in it, but there wasn't enough of the future, and that was my big deal. And I think that's what the lads have said as well. There should have been a bit more of the future, and I
yeah,
agree. But the third one is one of my favorites because I am a fan of westerns,
yeah.
and
I
the
like the
fact that
Western myself.
and it just fitted perfect. It is a 10 out of 10. Uh, and if you haven't watched this movie, I urge you to do the same. So Chris says 10 out of 10 for me. Three. He's saying 10 out of 10 for the whole three movies, or that's three of us that have said 10 out of 10 because now we've got Tim saying there's no perfect movie. So
Yeah,
he gives it a 9.5 out of 10. Um, I'd have to disagree with that one. I think
yeah,
Alien is pretty perfect as a movie. Wouldn't you agree?
yeah.
Yeah.
And Back to the Future 2 is more like a kind of what if, with more meddling in time and what could actually happen when things just don't go to plan. I mean, I do like Back to the Future 2. Don't get me wrong, but it's just not as good as Back to the Future 3. Back to the Future 3 is just it's it's really going back in time to and seeing how they lived back then, and the acting's very good, and I like the scenes in the saloon and all that, and
Yeah, and I have to say they did introduce a new character into the franchise in Clara,
yeah,
Doc Brown's love interest, and even the actress herself. I love. She's a great actress, and
yeah,
she was brilliant in it as well. I have to be honest. I think she that's how you introduce a character without
yeah,
alienating your audience, like and that's how you do it properly. Because it was interesting because Doc, as we know, was a man of science,
yeah,
and then in this one he wasn't thinking like a scientist because he he fell victim to what we all do at one stage in our lives. We fall in
yeah.
love.
See, what I liked about the Doc in Back to the Future 3 is he became a blacksmith. Like he was trying to kind of blend into 1880, no 1883, 1885. He was,
1885.
yeah, he was trying to blend in with that and that, and he was trying to settle in that world that time, and it was just because Clara Clayton was the school teacher that was supposed to have drove off the horses that
Clayton
took her off
Ravine.
to
Yeah,
Clayton Ravine,
yeah,
and
but then
actually
it got
he had
changed to
fell in love with
Eastwood.
her.
Yeah,
Yeah,
then it gets changed to Eastwood Ravine because obviously
yeah,
we see what happens. But
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, look, some people do think there might be perfect movies out there, and you know what? You probably do have a point, but
yeah,
I do think there are some personally perfect movies. For example, Jaws. I
yeah,
think that's a perfect horror movie. I think I mean, we don't get to see the shark until the last few minutes of that movie. Remember that they build it up
yeah.
and build it up and build the tension up. Um,
What do you think of the Poseidon Adventure, the original one, the 1973 one, 72 one? I mean,
yeah,
it's the new one, the 2005 one was rubbish compared to the original one. Because I mean, you had a great cast in it, the original one.
yeah. I mean, look, there's certain movies out there that are just everything comes together. Great
Yeah,
actors, great actresses. You get the right story, right script, right directors, right producers, and uh, you get a franchise like Back to the Future.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, I mean, they don't make movies like that now. That's the problem.
no.
They don't think in those terms anymore.
You see, it's all
So
agenda pushing now. It's
yeah, that's all it is.
it's a bit frustrating. You want to watch a good movie.
I know, I know. They don't make see movies like this now would be problematic, as I said. Even Back to the
Yeah,
Future became problematic for its scene in part two, where Marty has a magazine in his hand. He thinks it's
yeah,
the almanac, and it turns
yeah.
out to be that ooh la
Ooh la
la.
la.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they actually what you call it, they edit it out on Netflix.
See,
So
a lot of Netflix stuff is agenda pushing. I mean, I don't. I wouldn't buy Netflix. I wouldn't entertain them.
yeah, I mean, look, that's the thing. That's what I'm saying to people, and I said to people, when you're signing up for these subscriptions, you're signing up to have the product the way it
Yeah,
was originally released. They have no right because it's not part. They have no right to change the content that they're putting up on their platforms. They're supposed to leave it the way it is.
yeah,
So, I would say this and I'll say it again, any company that engages in that and you're subscribed to them, why are you still subscribed to them? Because I wouldn't be, because that's, they're not supposed, look at it's like what we say about art as well. You don't censor art. Art is supposed to be subjective. It's supposed to you're supposed to have conversations. It's supposed to, inspire. You start doing if you start suppressing all of that, then it ain't art anymore. And they're doing it with the movie industry and the TV shows, as we were saying. So, I just look. It does frustrate me. I mean, I look now at some of these movie apps that I have, and I look at the kind of movies that they're making, and not one of them am I interested in. They just don't make movies the way they used to make them. And I know the 90s was a bit naff for movies, and the early 2000s, but Jesus Christ, I'd rather have all those naff movies than the movies that they're making now. You get one or two gems being made a year if you're lucky. You might get one or two movie where everybody universally loves that movie, but they're few and far between now.
I mean, you couldn't make Titanic today because they would put agendas into it. They would put gay relationships in it and lesbian relationships. They would spoil the history of the film.
Yeah,
they would do that on purpose. Just taking to stir up controversy or something like that. Like they wouldn't do a historical. They would put something in it.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're right. Yeah, again, they just can't. When they remake a movie, they can't remake it exactly the same way anyway, right? We know that. But they try come up with their idea of a character.
Yeah.
And they say, well, this is how we believe the character should have always been. It's like they just can't go out and make a movie without having, as you said, something in it. But I suppose maybe that's why people love the Fast and the Furious franchise now.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I stopped watching after the third movie or the fourth movie, I think it was. But no wonder people are fans of that movie franchise. I mean, it's so dumb. I mean, the cars are literally flying in the fucking air now. But because it has no agenda and it's just action and it's full of silliness, people are latching onto that movie franchise because the movies that they do like that are being remade are full of agenda. So they'd rather have they'd rather it's ridiculous. Yeah, as I said, look, we said this earlier on. These movies like Back to the Future, E.T., all of these other movies that that over the years rumored to be remade. You can't remake cultural icons, and that's exactly what they are. You can't remake movies that have had such a positive impact on pop culture and on society, that have made an impact on society. It's like you see them with the Star Trek. I mean, look at how much that influenced science fiction and pop culture. It made its mark.
It's the same with Doctor Who as well.
Ghostbusters made its mark. Doctor Who made its mark. These are all cultural icons, and they're trying to do something with them that's completely different to what people see them as. And I think that's what they have forgotten. It doesn't matter whether you think that these franchises need to move on with the times or not. They can move on with the times to a certain extent, yes, but you also have to remember that the show or the movie or whatever you're watching has those core values, has those things that fans want to see. And if they're missing, then you can slap the name Doctor Who on Doctor Who right now. It ain't Doctor Who, because there's nothing like what we have seen, even coming with the new Who era. The other two showrunners in Moffat and RTD, and then you go back to the classic Who. It's just like you know, the New Who with RTD paid homage to the classic Who. Look at all the old classic actors that he had in his run of New Who. Moffat even was doing the same, bringing back old actors that had starred in classic Who and putting them in New Who, right? Paying homage to those guys as well. And at the same time, introducing them to a newer audience, maybe as different characters, it doesn't matter, but introducing them to a newer audience. That's what you do. That's how you do it. You respect the franchise, you respect the IP, and
Yeah.
these are the two most important things. You respect canon, and you also respect your long-term fans. And yes, I will say it, you respect your long-term fans. The reason why these have become iconic and pop culture sensations is because of those fans that have
Yeah.
watched through the years, not new fans that have just jumped on board. Okay, and that's the reality. And you've burned a lot of bridges there, whether it's with Doctor Who, Star Trek, Star Wars, it doesn't matter. Everybody has burned a lot of bridges, and you have a lot of making up to do to fandoms out there, but they won't do it. And, you know, it'll continue to be a shit show. But look, we could go on all night about how they're
Yeah.
ruining all these
You
iconic
could.
movies, but we're going to leave it at that because we're coming up to 11 and I have to bring him out in a half an hour. So we'll leave it at that. I'll get John to do his usual shout out. Don't forget the poll is already up. Chris has put it in the chat as well. Apparently, Alien is in the lead. So go and vote for your favorite. It's either going to be Gremlins or Alien. The choice is up to you guys. They're the two choices. And again, either Tuesday or Wednesday morning, I will announce the winner of the poll. So go and vote for your favorite. John, go and do your
I
shout
was
out.
gonna. I was gonna ask you. What's the Doctor Who classic watch along
Oh
for
yeah, because
Saturday?
we're back to William Hartnell.
Yeah.
I tell you what. I'll tell you what. I'll leave it with you.
I
You could
was
pick. You
thinking
could
of.
pick. You could pick William Hartnell's episode this week. Come on, why
I
not?
mean, the Daleks is it's quite a long one, isn't it?
Yeah,
Uh,
and I think we've already done that. So
have you done the 10th Planet?
we've done the 10th planet
All
twice
right.
now.
The War
See,
Machines.
we've done the
You've
War
done that.
Machine. Yeah, that's what I mean. I think we're nearly and
It's because he's got a majority of missing episodes as well. So I'll just check. Have we done the Rescue?
we have.
The Romans? The
Yeah,
Crusade?
Crusade.
Space Museum? Chase? Time Meddler? Done that. We've done the Ark. We've done the Gunfighters. See, there's very kind of little left. Unless we do the Sensorites.
How many parts is that?
I'll need to check. I think it's a 4-parter, the Sensorites. Um, It's 6 episodes. I think it's 6. Six episodes.
Right. Okay. Well, then we'll do that because I think we're getting to the stage now where we're going to be repeating a lot of William Hartnell at this stage. So there you go. What have you picked?
Sensorites.
Right, folks. So that's Saturday's classic story, and of course, then on Sunday we have the Pandorica or the Big Bang, and oh no, the Pandorica opens and the Big Bang. Double feature. Yeah. Then we go into season 6A, as everybody calls it. And then it kind of goes, yeah. It kind of goes a bit
The
mad in
Sensorites is
season
quite.
6.
It's quite an interesting one, but there's some parts of it's good and some parts of it's bad. I think it's a very kind of, a kind of drag a wee bit.
Yeah.
And some bits. I just it's trying to get some new stuff that we haven't done. I mean, you probably would just have to go over it.
What? Hang on.
That's a six-parter.
Holy shit. Some news 2 hours ago. Bill Cosby has been released from prison after Pennsylvania Supreme Court overturns his conviction. The
Yeah, I heard about
82-year-old comedian was released from prison on Wednesday after Pennsylvania's highest court overturned his 2018 conviction where he was found guilty. I will say this, right? I don't know what happened with Bill Cosby, right? We all grew up with Bill Cosby, and I was shocked when those allegations came out. Now, this guy has always maintained his innocence from day one, and he said he was being set up because he was a very powerful black actor in the industry, which he was. He was a very powerful guy. He was loved by millions, and I mean beyond millions. And then that came out, and then his career, because he was speaking up before that, he was starting to come out and speak up. Then all of a sudden, then it kind of seemed the same to me when Michael Jackson was accused, right? But then women start coming forward and start hearing the stories and they're saying, well, maybe there is some truth in it. But now the Supreme Court is at the overturning his conviction. I'm starting to wonder now. And I'm not saying he's still not, I'm not saying he's innocent because he probably still is guilty. But what I'm saying is this man has maintained from day one, that he was innocent, that he never did anything.
Something.
Even the cast and the young girls that worked on that cast and all, and the older women that worked on that never said that he never did anything inappropriate towards them. Now, for anybody that knows, there's a pattern of behavior when it comes to people like that prey on young girls and women. We've seen it with Jimmy Savile. We've seen it with Gary Glitter. We've seen those interviews now. When you look back, they're very fucking cringy. Where Gary Glitter's telling the schoolgirl to be quiet because she's literally letting the cat out of the bag, how they all went back into the dressing rooms and was sitting on their laps.
Disgusting.
Right? So, I mean, look, it does happen in the industry, but all I'll say is that we've seen over recent years that a lot of innocent men and women have been accused of shit, and it's transpired that they've been innocent, right?
Yeah.
Especially in this cancel culture age. Maybe Bill Cosby was the first victim of cancel culture and we never realized it.
It could actually be.
Or maybe he is guilty and he's gotten out on a technicality, which is disgusting if he has exploited the law. So I will just say that as well. But wow, I'm actually blown away. I'll have to check up on that now read more about it and see what the story is, see why he was released. But that is absolutely mind-boggling.
See, I think that they found something that's,
They have to have
you
found
know,
something. And if he is innocent, right, and it transpires that it is, then them women, if they're still alive, if them women have accused him, right,
mhm,
and he turns out to be an innocent man, there's only one course of action here, right?
yeah,
And there's only one course of action that is acceptable. Is that every single one of those women that made an allegation against them should be locked up if they're lying.
yeah,
If it turns out that they're lying, they should all be locked up and made an example of. Do you know why? Because it'll stop other women from doing the same. Because look at Johnny Depp, man, being accused of
yeah,
all sorts, and yeah, that case. Even though he lost the case against the papers in the UK, there's still an active case going on, and he's going to nail Amber Heard. He's going to nail
yeah.
Amber Heard. But remember, Hollywood supports abusers because she's still on her movie, but they kicked Johnny Depp off his. They support abusers in Hollywood. So I'm not surprised. But I will check up on that. That is absolute. Never thought I'd see the day. Everybody thought he was going to rot in prison. So I don't know what's happened. And
I don't get that impression of Bill Cosby being a predator. He doesn't seem like that. You know, I
that's
think they've
what I
got him.
mean. Even
You
when
know,
he
he's not like
yeah,
Savile. He's not
yeah,
like you know, like glitter or anything like that. I mean, for years that Bill Cosby was the comedian. He was the entertainer. He was, you know, he was a figurehead of television. You know, he was in his shows and all that, and doing films and all that. And when I first heard about that, I thought, nah, there's something more to it. There's something else going on there. You know that they've got somebody in the, you know, it's like he's an easy target because he's popularity. You know, and it's always to do with money.
I'm
But
just
then,
reading.
what do
Yeah,
I
just
know?
reading a little bit on this interesting thing. That is, I'm actually gobsmacked because
Yeah,
we grew up with him. He was a legend in our eyes, and then when that happened, the fall from grace was absolutely huge.
and if he didn't do that and he was accused of that and he's went through all that trauma and I mean what age is he now? He's 83 now. I mean
Yeah,
a person will won't recover from that trauma.
no, no. But if he has mistakenly been accused, and it turns out that this was all a setup to take him down, well, I hope he gets the justice before he dies because he's not getting any younger,
Yeah,
you know. But there's actually a couple of YouTube videos on it. I've never watched them because I always believed he was guilty. Um, you know, so many women coming forward seems a bit very parallel to what's happening with Noel Clark right now, actually.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm grand, Matthew. I'm grand. I'm grand. I've seemed to upset a few folks on Twitter. You know me. I
It's
like to
just
tell it.
if you say something and it doesn't go, it doesn't fit with their narrative. I mean, they will come after you.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
it's that
there's
that's what
been
it's
a
like.
couple of incidents going on in the fandom, and I just gave my experience of a certain YouTuber out there that everybody's blowing smoke up their ass, like, and I'm just giving my experience, but it's upset a couple of these supporters and mods. They say they don't bully people, but they're on my tread now, giving me loads because I've called this person out. Like, listen, I'm sorry I've hurt your feelings, but you're acting exactly the way I've said that. it's behaved. Listen for a minute, right? The bottom line is that I know someone personally that was friends with this YouTuber and then when she was bullied, he didn't step up to the plate until after a week later, and then then came out against me and Lee and others that were defending this girl. So I've never liked this YouTuber since then, anyway, right? And there's been a couple of things as well that have happened recently with me in relation to a group that he has on Facebook that he says he's nothing to do about. But when I told him that this group was basically using all these copyrighted stuff, his photographs and stuff like this, he told me to go and report it, nothing to do with him because he doesn't have a Facebook page. Right? Now, thing about it is William Shatner found out that there was a Facebook page imitating him, and he had Facebook take it down. Right?
Yeah.
If they're using your photographs, right, your pictures of your channel name and stuff like that, and they're the official pictures that you use, well, then you have a responsibility if you don't like that Facebook group like you claimed. Listen,
Yeah.
if his supporters want to play that game, I'll actually show his supporters what he's really like, because I have stuff from him that goes to show you he's a gutless individual. He won't
And
step
it's
up.
the BBC will not do anything about it. I mean, they'll just completely ignore all that kind of carry on.
So if I've upset anybody because of me comments about a certain person out there, I don't really give a shit, to be quite honest with you. At the end of the day, these people make themselves out to be something that they're not, right? They have this online persona, and they project themselves a certain way to people, but behind the scenes they're completely different people. And I'm sorry, as I said before in the fan, and as I've said on this channel many times, unfortunately, in fandom we've got a lot of fucking frauds and fakes and stuff like that. And I don't tolerate that shit because I work hard on this channel, and I know other channels that work hard, and they wear their hearts on their sleeves as well, and they try and keep you guys entertained. They try to give you the best streams that they can because they're doing their best with what they have. You know, we don't have all of these super chats coming in. We don't have all of the support that they have. And yeah, I do believe that there are some big YouTubers out there that exploit and take advantage of that. And I'm sorry, you know, I've kept my mouth closed for long enough. You know what I mean? I've seen little incidents over the last couple of months that have really turned me off these people. All they are is about drama, right? They want to
Yeah.
create drama, right? And then bitching and moaning then when they get called out themselves. Well, I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way, right? That's not how it works, right? We all work hard. You're the same as us. You just happen to have more subscribers. But don't let that ego and don't let those subs get to your head, because at the end of the day, you could be gone tomorrow. And that's the attitude every YouTuber should have, right? You could be gone tomorrow. YouTube could fucking demonetize you and you're done, right? And I guarantee you, right? Guarantee you notice, right? This channel's getting demonetized out there. And the next of all, you see all the, sign up to me Patreon. Here's the donation bar. Send me donation. These people have literally made thousands and thousands and thousands of fucking dollars and euros, right? In super chats a night. And then they're looking for more. Ridiculous. The only income that I have off this channel comes off the videos that I do. I don't have a Patreon. I don't have a donation bar, right? I do say to you guys anyway, don't I? Super chats are welcome, but it's not necessary on this channel. But I do be grateful for any support that I get on this channel, and that's the way it should be. Yeah, no, it's a positive show. I'm just sick of the hypocrisy out there. You know, our side claims to fight for inequality. They claim to fight to save pop culture, but yeah, I'm seeing over the last couple of months bickering with each other. You know, calling each other out. And you know what? They're just as bad as each other. and one thinks they have the moral high ground over the other. Nobody has the moral high ground over the other. Yous are all idiots. Get
Yeah,
a grip. Yous have a couple of more 100,000 subscribers than I do, and yous are acting as if yous are famous. Give it a
yeah.
break. These are YouTubers. These are
It's to
like
think they're
me.
better than
Some of yous
everybody
got
else.
lucky with
That's
the
the trouble.
algorithm. Fair play to yous. But don't let that get to yous our heads. Remember where yous came from. Right? Getting ridiculous. I
Yep.
love to look. I love YouTube. I love the support and the community that I've built up. Right. I'm even friends with some YouTubers out there that I really admire and respect. For example, Gary from Neurotic, as I keep mentioning. You know, there's Eddie Ascaro out there, Dan from the Space Book. Um, you know, I mentioned that, didn't I? Comics Division. You know, I like their streams. Tom Connors from Midnight's Edge. Great, honest, decent YouTubers. You know, and you know the difference between the two, between the ones that are genuinely personally and emotionally attached to the cause, and then you see the others then that are just waving on the surf because they see there's a lot of money and a lot of people to exploit, and that sickens me. We
Yeah,
already get
it
exploited enough
happens.
by our own governments and stuff like that. We don't need other people doing the same, right? So I'm just sick of it all. And we got a $5 Canadian super chat from Chris Persia. It's a super sticker. I'll go in now and I'll actually check and
That's
see
good.
what it is. Clobbering Times is a class act as well, Matthew. I agree. I like Clubby. I think I appeared on Clubby's stream. Clubby, I think, was being on here once or twice as well. It's been a while, so I'll try get Clubby on again. Actually, it'll be great. Um, let's see, what was the super chat? It was a good job and a thumbs up from Chris.
Yeah.
Uh, thank you very much, Chris. That's a $5 Canadian super chat. I really do appreciate it. But again, you know, we will leave it at that. I
Yeah.
don't want to, yeah, don't want to say any more. I've said what I've had to say. I mean, look, you know, you come at me, right, and I'm just gonna say this, and I'll leave it at this. I don't care how big of a YouTuber you are, right? Um, if I see something that I don't like, and then something happens to me, and I go to that person and basically they kind of fob me off, well, I'm gonna be upset about it. And I've had a couple of incidents with this person already. So, you know, uh, I've kept my mouth closed to keep the peace. I was told even last year, please don't say that, and you know, you could blah blah blah. But I don't care. I don't care because at the end of the day, you know, there's a thing called integrity. There's a thing called, you know, being honest with your subscribers. At the end of the day, you guys take time out of your daily lives to come and support me and others out there. And, you know, I feel we have a duty uh, to make sure that you guys are treated with the utmost respect. Also, I think it's our duty to be honest with our audience and, you know, not to manipulate our audience and to, you know, give our points of view, but at the same time, to give you guys a chance to have your point of view as well. I guarantee you know that these shows that go on. I guarantee if people stop giving them super chats, they stop doing these shows. That's the weird thing about it. They'd stop doing it because there's nothing in it for them. They only do
Yeah.
it because they know that thousands of people are going to watch and they're going to make a shit ton of money. You know, it's it used to be about the content and being proud of what you're putting out. Now people just put videos out for the sake of putting videos out because if something happens, they know if they do a video on it, it makes financial sense. And
Yeah.
I think YouTube kind of has lost its way, and I think a few YouTubers have lost their way. But it's not too late for them. It's not too late. But listen, I'm not saying I'm a perfect YouTuber. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not a great YouTuber. I've built up an audience, a loyal following. Um, I've become friends with a lot of yous. Um, but we're all part of a big community. I know without you guys, this channel is nothing. And, I'm proud of this community. I'm proud of the community that you've built up. I'm proud of this channel, and I'm proud of every single person that has been on this channel, has went on to do bigger and better things, and is doing their own thing now. I'm proud of them all. I couldn't be prouder. And that's the way you should be, I'm not perfect, nobody is. I don't always get it right on this channel. But I'll always be honest with you, and I'll always, you know, give my point of view, but I'll also give you guys a chance to come on and talk and give you your point of view. You know, it's it's the way I've always been. Um, because as I said, you guys make us who we are. So the focus should be on you guys always, you know. And you should listen to your audience as well, because your audience might want you to talk about something. You should always listen to your audience. Um, I think that's important. Um, well, look, I'm gonna leave it at that. I've said enough anyway. You know,
Well said.
we just need to get to a place where YouTube and the people involved in it remember where they come from. Uh, it wasn't so long ago that some of those big YouTube channels were as small as mine, and by a stroke of luck, they got caught by the algorithm, right? And we've heard that story a few times. I mean, it's even happened to Ballstreck. Remember, Ballstreck was telling us when he did his video on the what was it? I think it was Jodie's doctor, wasn't it? When she was first cast or something, and that was
Yeah.
picked up by the algorithm, and his channel
Got
exploded.
demonetized.
Well, he deserved that. He deserved that, because you look at his channel before then and look at how dedicated he was to Doctor Who. And this is the thing: a lot of people criticize him. Well, he has obviously haven't went back, and I know he did private some of his videos because obviously he became more of a target. But the odd time now he does unprivatize some of those playlists, and he'll whack them up for people to watch. And he used to do in-depth reviews of the classic era, whether it was the box set or the DVDs. He did it, and then he did that video like a lot of people actually. It was the same when other people covered Captain Marvel. That video got picked up. So these YouTubers, not Ballstreck is always humble. I'm talking about others out there. I'm not even going to mention names, but I'm talking about others out there. They've got to remember that they got a bit of luck, right? And that luck has made them successful. But they need to stop with the arrogance and the ego, and thinking that they're famous. You ain't famous. You sit at home in front of a fucking computer and you talk for a couple of hours and you make a shit ton of money doing it. So, pipe down with the ego and remember where you came from. Because, as I said, it can all go tomorrow. It could all go tomorrow. And I guarantee
Ted's wanting your attention.
Yeah, but here's the thing then, right? If they say, for example, they got demonetized off YouTube, they'll quickly scramble to find another app or another platform where they can make money, because it's become that now. It's become that now. They've seen the ching ching come in. They know when they talk something negative, it's going to bring the ching ching in.
Yeah, but that's what it's all about. It's all about making money, and that's what they want to do is
Well,
make money.
yeah, but at the same time, listen. If we were to listen to all of it, even I now try to do positive stuff on the channel. And as I said, when we launch that new show, the new panel show on Friday, we will be talking a lot of positive stuff because there are still good movies being made, as I said earlier. Remember, there are still
Yeah,
some good shows being made. It's not all doom and gloom. I think the other channels out there have forgotten as well. These are pop culture channels. We're not only supposed to talk about the negative. And I've done it for long enough now that I know that, the people I get, I've been told by you have told me out straight, we're sick of it now. We're sick about Doctor Who. We'll wait until it comes back and then we can talk about it again. That's why I decided to stop the Tired of Zone talks. There's no point to keep rehashing the same thing week in, week out. A lot of these
yeah,
channels do. It's the same news story, just repackaged a different way, time and time again. Why not talk about some of the positive things that are happening? It's not all doom and gloom in Hollywood. It's not. There are some gems still being made. You just have to look. But they don't want it because listen, I'll give an example. There's a YouTuber out there, I won't mention who she is, right? But she claims to be a Doctor Who fan, right? But all year round, she doesn't do absolutely nothing in relation to the show. Nothing about rumors, speculation, who's going to be the new Doctor. None of all of this, right? She'll review an episode, and then if she doesn't like it, then, or if people react badly to it, and it's only when, no, this is what she'll say. She'll put it out. I've done a review of the first episode of Doctor Who. If people would like me to do more, let me know. Then when she sees the negative reaction towards the episode, then she says, okay, I'm going to stick doing Doctor Who for a while because that's what will make me money. Right? Not even a Doctor Who fan. And it pisses me off then because then those big YouTubers are being listened to then.
yeah.
Right? Whereas myself, others out there like Dan from the Space Book, Rabbi, Eddie Ascaro, all of those that have come out and criticized the bad way that this era has been handled, right? The ones that are on it and have been fans of the show for decades, right? We're not being listened to because everybody will gravitate towards the bigger, more glamorous but they don't know what they're talking about. And then when I watch some of their videos, I'm like, no, that's wrong. You're talking out your arse there, sure. That's how I know you don't watch. And you'll always know it was a fake reviewer because they'll always only talk about the bullet points that have made fans upset. They never go into great detail. Never go into great detail about anything that they do. Right, Ted, I know it's 11:30, right? And I know the Seagulls, for some weird reason, have decided these last couple of nights to fucking come out at 11:30, but there's nothing we can do about it. So you just have to pipe down now. I'm going to finish this stream now and then I'll bring you down. So I'm going to sit in my chair here for a minute because my back is killing me. I'm going to end the stream and then we'll go out. But you're going to act like that, man. You're probably going to chase the seagulls. Jesus. Right. Listen, anyway, it went on a little bit longer, another 45 minutes. But look, at the end of the day, I think as a YouTuber, you have to have some sort of integrity. And you shouldn't just be doing things for the sake of doing things. Especially in the Doctor Who fandom where we are, I highlight things that nobody else will highlight because for the simple fact is, someone has to highlight these issues that are going on. You look at the state of the show now, again, where's the big YouTubers talking about all the Noel Clark stuff or the John Barrowman stuff or all the stuff, the latest rumors and all of the stuff that they've been hearing? They're not talking about Doctor Who. but they'll talk about when the show comes back when everybody is criticizing it, and that annoys me. That's wrong.
Yeah, and they turned around and said you're not a fan of Doctor Who, and you're criticising it. And
Yeah. I called people out the other day. I said anybody that supports this era and actually thinks this era is good, you're a traitor and you're spitting in the face of Verity Lambert and everybody else that worked on that show, from every actor to actress that worked on that show. You're disrespecting them.
See, they've no idea about the past of Doctor Who.
No,
They've
they
no
don't.
idea about Verity Lambert or.
No, they don't.
Or,
They're bringing up Andrew Cartmel again, like he's literally with her.
Yeah, they're trying to justify it.
I know. They're trying to and he's even went on Eddie's channel and dismissed the whole thing. I mean, the evidence is there right in front of them, but they'll bend it to suit their narrative. But look, we could sit here for another 45, but I'm not. I'm going to go now and let everybody get some sleep. But I want to thank you all for joining us. Don't forget to vote in the poll. Chris, thanks for that super chat, and thanks for keeping the chat nice and safe for everybody. But we got a great little community here, so there's no need. It's only when strangers come in, we have to kind of keep alert. But thank you very much. I want to thank everybody that did join us in the chat tonight, and for the 10 people that are still watching, we really appreciate it. Thank you, Matthew, Unknown, and everybody else. Super Doctor now is going to do his little shout outs, and then we're going to leave it at that.
Yeah, I've got a YouTube channel under Real Super Doctor, and I've got a Twitter account under Real Super Doctor.
Fantastic. And I will do a couple of shout outs. Don't forget to check out Daniel's channel as usual. Clobbering Times as well. I'll give him a shout out. Why not? It's been a while since I gave Clobby a shout out. Don't forget to check Ballstreck's latest video that he put up. It was actually a very good video. Don't forget to check out Eddie's channel as well, because he does some interviews. I think he has one or two more maybe that he had got planned to do. So check out his channel as well. That's Talk the Doctor TV, TD TV. Also, I might as well actually. Don't forget, I don't even plug the Teddy's channels, and I should. Right, so Teddy has a channel on Teddy's Terrier Tales on YouTube. Teddy is also on Instagram, and in 6 days or something, he has gained over 170 followers on Instagram. He's become quite popular on Instagram with other doggies and stuff. So that's because Cheryl has a good hashtag game, by the way. But yeah, he's on Instagram as well. So check out the YouTube channel. There will be videos put up, and I don't know if Cheryl actually put up the new little videos. If she didn't, she has a couple of videos to throw. But check out the YouTube channel and the Instagram. And if you're into gaming, go and check out the Irish Geek until I figure out what I'm actually going to do with that bloody channel. But right now it's become a gaming channel. But I don't know if I'll keep it as a gaming channel. It depends. It's doing well right now. We've gained over 100 subscribers on it since I started doing the game, and so it's I suppose it's doing okay. I mean, I can't really complain. And I mean, we're doing all the pop culture stuff on this channel anyway. I don't need to rebrand the channel because we don't just do Doctor Who. You know, we have talked about other stuff on this channel before, so might as well just continue. So the poll is in the community section on YouTube. We'll be back on, what day is it today, John? Because I've lost all track.
This is Wednesday.
It's Wednesday. So I don't know if Alpha is back. I think he's working this week, so there's no sliders this week. So what I'll probably do Thursday and Friday is I'm supposed to get someone on the channel anyway. And I'll try squeeze that in one of the days, but I will have a couple of more pre-records to throw out. And then on Saturday, we'll be back for Classic. And then on Sunday, we got New Who. And as I said, I'll be almost streaming there. Not streaming, but you'll have a lot more content now because Love Island is on. and
Oh God.
Cheryl is watching that crap, so I'm not going to be around for that. As you know, yourselves, I can't stand the fucking thing. So I'm going to be in the bedroom while she's watching the TV, so that gives me a bit of time to do stuff. So I'll be checking up on articles. So here's another thing. If there's articles that you've come across that you would like me to bring up and discuss and give my point of view on, it doesn't have to be about Doctor Who, by the way. It can be about any other TV show or movie. Now, remember, keep it to pop culture. I'm not getting into any political stuff on the channel. We try to stay away as much as possible from politics, because I think when we get talking about politics, it does, doesn't it, John? It gets a bit.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, people have too many different. Everybody has different opinions, and nobody agrees in this day and age. So, if there's any articles got to do with any new TV show or anything that's being remade that you have a problem about or anything like that, send them my way. You can get in contact with me on Messenger if you follow me on Facebook, of course, and if you follow me on Twitter, you can DM me on Twitter. I don't really give out my email address that much because you know yourself.
But, yeah, just better not to.
Or underneath this live stream when it goes up tonight, if you want to leave a comment or leave a link to an article that you'd like me to check out, as I said, let me know, because I am going to be throwing out a lot more content now. I think Love Island's on for the next 6 to 8 weeks, Cheryl told me. So we've got 6 and 8 weeks of more content getting pumped out. And I'm ready to go, raring to go as well. And hopefully within that time frame, hopefully Lee will have the new whatever he's working on for me for the channel, for the new panel show. Hopefully we can get that done soon, and we can launch that new show as well as soon as because it's got to be a very busy summer, folks. So come and stay and join us on the TARDIS Zone. We look forward to having you all here. And remember, everybody that comes on has strong views and opinions, but we all remain friends, which is the good thing. We don't always agree. But we mostly agree. That's the thing that we have in common, and Doctor Who and all the other stuff that we love. So as I said, if there's anything that you want me and the panel and stuff when we do come on as well, it'll be the same thing. We'll be reading articles. But for now, until I launch the new show, I'm just waiting on the trailer. I don't like launching until I have a trailer. And I know Lee is busy doing other stuff at the moment, so I have to wait my turn. So I'm just waiting on that. So I'm going to leave it there. Right. Good night now. We're definitely going. So thanks for joining us, John. Thank you for joining me.
No worries.
I hope you enjoyed Back to the Future and the little discussion that we had right at the end here. I like to have a little chat at the end anyway. I started late. So it's only fair that I stay on and talk to you for a little bit. You have supported me through.
We'll have to have one of these conspiracy nights.
We will. I might actually bring, because we used to do UFOs and stuff.
Yeah.
The conspiracies. And everybody did enjoy that. So I might actually do some. See, look there's the way it works out. I'll explain over the weekend. But there's a couple of windows of opportunity where we could do something new on a certain day. But we'll see. I'll come up with something. And we'll definitely do it. Right, I'm gone. Here's the trailer.
Catch you later.
We'll catch you later. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and we'll talk to you. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we will talk to you tomorrow. And for the next 6 to 8 weeks, Jesus Christ. Hooray for Love Island is all I'll say. I'm not going to watch it already, like trying to tell me, so I don't want to know. I don't care if they. I don't care. Right? Who cares? Her and my sister having conversations. I'm like, get away. I don't care. It's crap. It's like brain dead TV. We already have that with Doctor Who, so I don't need any more. Good night.
Good night.